Hi, my name is Winsley and welcome to my video covering my 10 gameplay tips for playing around with the new content in the Dragon Dawn DLC and the free Wyvern update for Age of Wonders 4. Thank you again to Paradox Interactive and Triumph Studio for sharing an early access key with me. If you want to use timestamps to jump between different tips, please feel free to. I've posted that in the description below. Oh, and I like to think of my channel as an informative one, so please feel free to let me know if you think I got any of the tips wrong in the comments section below. My first tip is to try out a pretty fun build. I really like item hoarding. If you take the Dragon Lord Ruler artifact hoarders and the Ruthless Raiders Society trait, then you're going to have a lot of items in your inventory right at the beginning of the game. This gives you 2 random hero items, and a lot of them won't work on your dragon. This will also give you 2 random hero items, and you'll be able to get more hero items from clearing things out. And this artifact hoarders will give you more, it'll give you extra mana income based off of the items that are just sitting around in your arsenal. So that works really well. The Dragon Lord thing, being able to get a couple more items right at the very beginning will help out with the income penalties that the dragons have. They have an upkeep associated with them. So yeah, just getting that extra gold from the Horde, kind of like you get mana from the artifact Horde, will make a difference in the long run. I think one thing they noticed in stream was that you can just unequip everything on your heroes at the end of the turn and then re-equip them at the beginning of the turn. And if you're gonna really be leaning into this strategy, I can't see why you wouldn't want to play like that. Give me a second to actually launch this game and then we'll show that off. Alright, so if we look at our hero here, one of the 4 items that we got actually went onto our hero, and if we go to just our passive income, it's saying we're making +7 gold and +7 mana from all of our different things. It looks like we have a tier 2 item and a tier 1 item that are not being used right now. We've got this equipped, that equipped, and I think it may have only given us 3 items for some reason. It may be counting this as an item or something along those lines. But yeah, more or less what you want to do with this type of strategy is you just want to unequip things right before you end your turn. That way you get more passive income. And then if you need it for a fight or for some reason, then you just equip it right before you go into something. Another way you can get more items out of the mechanics that are in game is by taking the Industrious culture. If you want, you can use a scout to go into a location like this and try and get an item out of it. I got pretty lucky there. Usually you don't get an item. Usually it's like a dice roll. It's like gold, production, or an item. I think so. This is like a 1 in 3 chance, and that will add up quite nicely if we take a look at our passive income. Now it's gone up to +7, +7, +7, and I could get it to be, or rather, +11 and +11. My next tip is to be really careful with your Dragon Lords when they are low level, because they start off with a melee attack and a cone attack, which requires them to get pretty close. This leads to them taking a lot more damage than other hero types. They do start off with 1 more armor, 1 more defense, and extra HP, so they do have something to kind of counteract that interaction. But I found myself wanting a lot of outposts and um, uh, things that help my guys heal faster, because my dragons were just taking a lot more damage a lot more often. This, I think, means that basically Materium is a really good choice for getting more outposts, and then Nature is a really good choice for the thing that gives the extra healing, extra 15 points of healing per turn while in friendly domain. So if you wanted to be a Materium Dragon or a Nature Dragon, I think that that does work really well, specifically in the early game. My third tip is to be aware that polearms counter dragons. If you're a dragon and you're clearing a bunch of fights, you probably want to be aware of how big of a bonus the polearm units get against large targets. It says right here that they get plus 40% damage against large targets, which your dragon is, and that means that, yeah, when you see those, you just need to bring in a little bit more army strength in order to clear those fights out. And another thing you can do with this information is if you find out that your opponent is playing a Dragon Lord, you may want to decide to build a bunch of Polearm units in your cities. The Tome of Evolution combines really well with a number of other T1 tomes. If you watched the developer first look stream at Dragon Dawn, you may have heard of Oxel say that the Tome of Enchantment combines really well with the Tome of Evolution, and that's because the copper golems that you get in the Tome of Enchantment, that they evolve into a really good unit. Yeah, Materium's down here. We just need enchantment. This guy, once he gets to his champion rank, he turns into a T3 unit. The copper golems have a really big tendency to die in auto combat, so it's pretty hard to get them to get to their tier 3. But the thing that gives resurgence in the new Tome of Evolution, that just works incredibly well on those squishier evolution units. So it used to be that a lot of people would take the evolution units that had range attacks, like the fire spirits in Tome of Pyromancy, and that they would avoid the ones that were more melee focused. But this whole rapid evolution mechanic that gives resurgence makes things like Tome of Enchantment a lot more viable. You still need to be careful when you have resurgence, because if you don't win the fight, then you're gonna end up losing the units that have resurgence. So, it'll keep you from just basically losing units in fights that you know you're going to win, but it only takes you so far. As much as I like having resurgence, I actually found myself taking Shepherd a lot more often than this spell, this unit enchantment. Shepherd gives you extra defense, resistance, and upkeep on evolved units, so if you're going to be getting them, this is a good efficient way to boost them. I found that, yeah, this costs mana, and if you're summoning in a bunch of units, it can be kind of hard to support this spell. My next tip, my fifth tip, is to take advantage of the fact that the Slither Hatchling and the Wyvern Fledgling both are considered animals. Right here you can see it says animal right there, but you don't see it immediately when you're looking at the Wyvern. But I did just check it. If I go here, I can see that he actually has the animal tag on this unit and on this unit. And that means that basically if you take the Tome of Beasts, I think it is, you get access to things that make those animal units better in general. You can make it so that they get flanker, extra crit chance, and you can make it so that they cost less upkeep from wild speakers. And if you wanted to, maybe you can give them extra damage and crit chance. If you wanted to just have a bunch of wyverns or a bunch of slithers, you can give them a lot of extra damage and a lot of extra crit chance. This works incredibly well on the slithers, who are a skirmish unit all about doing a lot of damage very quickly at the beginning of a combat. Another nice thing about this tome is it gives you more nature affinity, which is in line with what the Tome of Evolution gives you. The Tome of Evolution gives you a little bit of nature and a little bit of chaos affinity, which leads me to my next tip. Tome of the Horde is another great second tome for when you're picking Tome of Evolution. Tome of the Horde benefits those lower tier units, so you'll be able to get more damage on them using mechanics like Battle Seeker Training. Yeah, this says all tier 1 units in army get plus 20% damage. That's going to be massive on slithers. There's also Fury of the Horde, making it so that your tier 1 units can become strengthened, which allows them to do a lot more damage. All they really need to do is enough damage to win the fight. If a unit that evolves dies when it has resurgence, that's not a big deal. Blaze of the Horde is also very nice. If you've got a lot of tier 1 units that evolve, this will allow you to do a lot of damage to the enemy, hopefully getting in a strong enough alpha strike so that you just win the combat. Now, I did mention this earlier, Tome of Pyromancy is another good pick as your second tome, or maybe your third or fourth tome, because it has an evolution unit and its chaos affinity, which is similar to the Tome of Evolution. Is part nature, it's part chaos. but it also does fire damage, which just seems very on brand for dragons. My next tip is to go with the Tome of Evolution first. If you're going to be going with any of these combinations, you're going to want to get the Tome of Evolution first, because that will allow you to evolve the Slithers and the Wyverns a little bit faster. If we take a look down here, we just got the Slither Evolution, and he is quite a bit stronger than the tier 1. I mean, he's got 90 health, 3 armor, 3 resistance. That's interesting, but you know, the damage I think is a little bit more interesting. That's a lot of damage on a single action attack. My favorite thing is the fact that this unit can slip away, making it just a lot harder to kill off, and I think the AI struggles a little bit with units like this. They think they're going to kill off the unit when it reaches 0 HP, then it slips away, and they haven't really taken that into consideration. But it's also just like a really great unit in general. Skirmishers are awesome, and yeah, it allows you to do a lot of damage on your first turn of combat. But given how much experience you're going to need to put on a level 1 unit here, or this level 1 unit to get them to evolve, I would highly recommend you get those as soon as possible so that you can start taking advantage of those units as quickly as possible too. Now, if you have decided that you're not going to go for the item hoarding Dragon Lord build, you could try and build a Wizard King that focuses on getting tech a little bit faster. For example, if you take Ancient Wise Ones, that makes it so that you start off with 1 more research skill unlocked, and it'll make it so that when you unlock a new tome, it's easier to do one of the things of research, making it so that you can get to more tomes a little bit faster. If we go here, we'll see that now this stuff has been reduced in here, but we do have 1 less research cycle than most other people would need in order to unlock a new tome, in order to get to a second tome. So I think that this strategy could work really well with the evolution builds. If you wanted to try to start with Tome of Evolution and shift into, I don't know, Tome of Pyromancy, Tome of the Horde, or one of these other ones that I talked about, this could work pretty well. Getting XP on as many of those units that evolve as quickly as possible will pay off, and you may run into upkeep problems if you lean a little too heavily into this strategy, which is another reason why I would recommend you take something that makes it maybe a little bit cheaper to summon in units to go along with this. Like the mana channelers will make it so that your wyverns are a little bit cheaper, and magic origin units have +1 rank. I believe wyverns and slithers have magic origin, but I can't remember if this was actually applying to those units. I think I took it off of my notes because it wasn't actually applying quite yet, but it may apply in the game by the time everybody gets access to the base game or to the build. If you are focusing on evolution units, then you should create a Nanny hero that gives the experience leader bonus and the shepherd bonus to the army stack that it's leading. Right here we can scroll down and we'll see that we have the thing that gives the +2 experience every turn, as well as units with the evolve tag will have less upkeep, more defense, and more resistance. I think I just got to the point where, yeah, everything in this stack was evolved, and I didn't have anything else that I could evolve easily with the evolution tag. So it might be time to actually reset this person and get rid of their shepherd skill, but it did serve its purpose. We got a lot of experience on those units while they were weak, then they evolved into something useful, and now they just get benefits from all these other nice support skills. Like none of these here, I believe, are evolution specific except for maybe shepherd and experienced leader, but all of them are quite useful in general. So, you know, having this hero allows you to have a nice support stack in general. You don't have to reset them to create a useful combat hero. You can actually leave them with these skills for quite a while, and they'll lead to not just your evolution units getting experience, but other units like this guy. He doesn't evolve, but he could always benefit from having a little bit more. Actually, no, never mind. He's at legend rank. He doesn't need any more experience. But yeah, in general, I think making your second hero that hero and having them just level up guys is quite powerful, and I highly recommend it. It also allows your weaker stack with the evolution units to kind of follow around without the resurgence enchantment. They can stay out of the dangerous combats and just join in the ones that are a little bit safer. Like for example, if I had a weaker evolution stack to join this guy, I could move in such a way that allows the evolution to join the fight, or I could make it so that they're just out of range of the more dangerous fights and only my main stack is in that one. One nice thing about the Shepherd tag, the hero skill, is that it applies to a new unit, the new unit from the Tome of the Dragons. The Young Dragons are a tier 3 unit that can evolve into a tier 5 unit, so you can actually make use of your Nanny hero to turn some tier 3s into some tier 5s after you're done turning your tier 1s into tier 3s. It's a pretty fun little mechanic that you can take advantage of. My next tip is to use Corrupted Souls. It used to be that the Shadow Affinity had access to a few less undead units, but now if you wanted to, you could try and research the Tome of, I think it's Necromancy? Yeah, the Tome of Necromancy to get access to this really, really fun unit that's quite powerful because it can insta-kill units. It's got this full action attack that can instantly kill a unit with low or worse morale, and that works on tier 3s. I think it could even work on a hero or a tier 4 or 5. It doesn't say anything about it not working on them, so I believe, yeah, you can just instantly delete some units with full health as long as their morale is low enough. And if that fails, you do a little bit of frost damage. Not terrible thing to do from a decent range. Their primary attack is actually pretty good because it drains morale. Or it reduces their morale, doesn't drain it and put it on your unit, it just takes it out away from the enemy unit, which is not nothing. That's actually pretty significant. But yeah, there's a lot of other really big, interesting changes that are coming along with the Wyvern update. I didn't want to get into all of them here, just wanted to go into my top 10, and we've done it. We've covered everything. Thanks for joining me here today. I'll see you around. Have a good one.